One of the first things I want to do before we actually start interacting with everything that is behind me is discuss my first impressions and what I was expecting prior to coming into this game. I've played a lot of RimWorld, a lot of City Skylines, a lot of SimCity. I was expecting something along the city management line. This has some of those elements, and there is some sort of min-maxing you can do to do with your management of your people as well, but there is a lot of parts that require you to be engaged in the game that aren't necessarily engaging, such as performing tasks. You have to hold down your mouse button, so you can't do anything else if you are helping that building speed up. You're just holding the mouse button down while the process is going along. Whilst this does have you engaging in the game, I wouldn't class this as being engaging. I'm not having fun holding down this button to watch the little hammer go from one location to the next to say that I've harvested some wheat. Whilst holding down a button might be something that I would be accepting if the animations were different per building, and maybe it was an action I was having to move the mouse as well, but you literally just have to hold the button down. What we're looking at behind me is about 1 to 1.5 hours worth of playtime. When you're starting out, there is quite a lot of manual work you have to do, quite a lot of that holding the button down to create something that I've spoke of already, which, not going to keep harping on it, not a huge fan. But when you then do get into this process and you start having workers yourself, I think this game comes more similarly to Factorio or Satisfactory in the idea and the satisfaction you're going to be getting from playing. It's not going to be something like RimWorld or City Skylines where there's all of these stuffs to be managing in a city builder. This is called a business sim, which I kind of can accept that yes, we are trying to make production as efficient as possible. So with that in mind, that's why I would think this is closer to Satisfactory, just because you're trying to make your production line as efficient as possible. You want to make sure there's as little work going on from yourself and as much automated as possible while still yielding the results you could be getting. It does mean that this game is a lot closer to Townstar, which is now called Common Ground, than I was initially thinking, meaning there is a huge idle element within the game, which can be nice, but unfortunately these games don't hold my interest for as long as games in the same vein as RimWorld or City Skylines or even Satisfactory itself held my interest for a lot longer than idle games. That is enough on my first impressions. Let's take a look at what we can be doing now and what the actual gameplay looks like if you are 1 to 2 hours deep. Obviously, if I was a lot further in, I believe it does get a lot more complex and there is a lot more managing that you actually need to do to keep everything efficient. But it's getting to that point that for me, I don't think I'm going to be investing enough time to get there. But let's see what it looks like at the moment. So we have got 4 main buildings when it comes to creating our product. We are creating cakes. We have got over here the wheat. I'm holding the button down, which makes the hammer move, which means we get more wheat. I then take the wheat to the next building. Woohoo! I then hold the same hammer down in the next building, which will then create the next product. We then take that over to the factory. Then once the factory is full, we do the same process of holding down the button so that this hammer moves, and that will bake us a cake. We can see we've got the cake down here in the little truck with this guy. When the next cake comes, he's going to ship it off and we'll have 2 to sell. As you can see, we've got little workers that will be doing stuff for us and traveling stuff back and forth like so. They're very slow and they actually get a penalty in their work speed that we can see down here in the bottom corner if I'm not actively helping them. So if I start helping and doing all of these things for them by clicking and letting it just pass, we will see that our town and our work speed will go up because I am making a contribution by helping them out. And now let's chuck all these things in. The next one, it is full, so let's crank that out. And then he'll run our cake, and then off that goes to sell. You can now see that I've got a 21% contribution, which is going to be helping the town speeds and the movement speeds of my boys that are running backwards and forwards for me. But this is it. This is the game loop for now. This is all I can do. I have 8 more of these cakes I can sell, and then I need to redesign and then sell again. Obviously that can't be the full game. So over here we have the research lab, and we see a little balloon, which means we need to click something. So we can start these different researches. Examples, we've got something to improve our cakes. Business models, you can unlock burgers as a product or bicycles as a product. And I assume these trees will keep filling out as the game progresses. And then we've got different buildings. I have learned a factory window burger. I didn't read that properly. I don't make burgers, so I don't know how this window is going to help me. But obviously, there's a lot of stuff you can be researched. I still don't think there's going to be much you need to do for quite a long time. We have completed some stuff, so we've got some stuff to unlock in town. So a factory burger window that can go in there, which did something. And we've also got a town of leisure that also go. So here we can see we're adding more mechanics that is going to slow down our progress or speed up our progress depending on how well we optimize this. So these are the type of parts that I was looking at previously that we'll be doing the min-maxing within. So now leisure is another thing we need to be taking care of to make sure our workers are working as optimal as possible. So they've got leisure 0%. Leisure is an essential part of life balance. Make sure you have enough buildings like pubs, cafes, shops. Hint, build more leisure buildings, okay? As you can see, when there's smoke coming out of the top of the houses, it means my worker is taking a break. Again, click and hold the mouse button, move the hammer to speed this up. I think this could be any other action or any other animation that does require me doing something within the game. I can see the idea behind holding the mouse clicker so that you can't just have this idly running off to one side the whole time. You do need to engage with it at points. So I do see why it's like this. I just wish it was slightly different. Another fun thing is once this guy's delivered, I can grab him, or her, sorry, and I can yeet. Off you go. And I have found endless amusement in yeeting the workers. Obviously, this is not efficient in the slightest, but it is amusing. And I think that brings a lot of what I like about this game is to do with the animations and the way I can interact with some of the things. Like I said, this pressing the holding of the hammer, couldn't care about. But the animations of these little people bringing everything backwards and forwards. Sometimes if one is full, they would then just throw what they're carrying on the ground and you can see it physics around the world before landing back down. And I get endless joy in that as well. One of the main things I liked about Townstar and Common Ground compared to the other farming games was the animations and the visuals on screen that were happening whilst things were being idle. So I'm glad that when Legacy has come out, they've continued with this idea of something going on screen at least. Like we can see the birds here, they're flying around on top of the buildings. The dudes running backwards and forwards. There's sheep in the background moving. There's little mice. These little added extra animations happening on the screen make it a lot more engaging than some of the other farm games, which are 2D sprites and the only idle animation they've got is the same bouncing up and down motion. I will be continuing to play this game, only off to one side. I don't think this will ever take on as much time as some people have put into it as their main game though. I hope you've all enjoyed that brief look into Legacy. You can play that now at Gala Games and maybe check it out. Right now, like I said, for myself, there's not too much to do that would hook me in and have this as my main game. I do like the visuals, I'm keen to see what they keep doing, but yeah, go and check it out if you have time, and this looks like it would be appealing to you. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you really do want to find out more, you can head over to games.gg. There you can find overviews, reviews, guides, and news on anything to do with Web3. I look forward to seeing you next time.